Today is official long glory and then we are finally Cyberpunk 2077 in our own hands. But in today's Cyberpunk 2077 video, we are going to talk about 12 things you might still not know about Cyberpunk. But my goal is to have 1,000 subscribers before April 2021. If you guys will hang with that would really real to me. And I'm going to post a lot of Cyberpunk videos. I'm going to play that game for a long time.
If you've watched all the Night City wires for Cyberpunk 2077, and you've paid attention to all the hands-on previews, you might think you've learned all there is to know about the game.
No. This game is so big, there is so much to know we don't know.
That's what I thought. Then I did some digging. I read previews, watched videos, listened to interviews, and I managed to find 12 things that surprised me. But honestly, none of this should have been all that surprising because Cyberpunk is so massive, we'll probably be discovering new details about this game for years to come. But for now...
Dat is wel even sad. But yes, then, another game was good, I don't know, I didn't think it was that bad, that you play it for years.
I hope you'll join me as I look at 12 things you might still not know about Cyberpunk 2077. One piece of lore that CD Projekt Red is carrying over to Cyberpunk 2077 from the tabletop game is the concept of cyberpsychosis. Basically, people who integrate too much cyberware into their bodies lose their minds and become rampaging lunatics. In the game, you'll be able to take on side quests where you encounter these so-called cyberpsychos in the form of a boss, or at least that's how GameSpot described them in one of their hands-on previews. This was backed up by Cyberpunk's senior level designer, Miles Toast. In an interview on the Cyberpunk 2077 community podcast, which I'll be referencing a lot in this video, Toast said, quote, "One of the content types we have in our open world is cyberpsychos. So V can effectively roam the world and stumble upon cyberpsychos, which are really tough encounters with appropriately juiced up enemies."
That would be so cool to see somebody completely losing their minds. That would be so fucking interesting.
Again, these are people who have implanted themselves with a large amount of cyberware and have become really, really tough as a result, but also have gone insane. Plus, when the game's trophy list recently leaked, it was revealed that one of the trophies, called I Am the Law, requires you to complete all cyberpsycho sightings. One final note on cyberpsychosis is that CDPR have made it clear that you will not be able to implement so much cyberware on your own body that you yourself become a victim of cyberpsychosis. So that's nice. Speaking of the game's trophy list, another type of quest we saw listed in a number of trophies are called NCPD scanner hustles. To get these trophies, you have to complete all the NCPD scanner hustles within each of the city's 6 districts. But what are these missions? Well, in a hands-on preview published on IGN, they were described as tasks put out by the Night City Police Department that anyone can take on. The preview also made it sound like you'll be resolving crimes across the map, and that the missions will vary in terms of what sort of criminal activity you'll be required to resolve. Will you be resolving crimes in progress? Or will these be mysteries that you have to solve, detective style? That remains to be seen. We also know that the game will feature bounty missions of some sort, which presumably have you hunting down targets. In a separate preview posted to Eurogamer's YouTube channel, it was implied that at least some of these bounties might also be issued by the NCPD, but I haven't been able to confirm this. In any case, completing jobs for the Night City Police Department could be cool, and it could add to the noir flavor of the game.
I can't wait. I actually can't wait for this
So
game.
we recently got to see Johnny Silverhand in a bunch of new gameplay. But one thing that wasn't shown, but was confirmed in previews posted to both GameSpot and Game Informer, is that you'll actually get to play as Johnny Silverhand during certain gameplay sequences. And it sounds like these sequences will show up as some sort of flashback.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think it's een soort of flashback you can play as him. That he is maybe shooting somebody or making music or something. I just wanted to say that.
The preview posted to GameSpot said, quote, "You'll also experience some of Johnny's memories from his point of view, playing through a few story missions as the legendary rocker. And you do more than just gun down enemies with his awesome overpowered revolver, though there is a lot of that too. You move through Johnny's memories as him, making choices and interacting with other characters, and those moments give you a deeper look into what kind of person he was."
I am crazy, but so fun.
While we're on the topic of Johnny Silverhand, we did get to see his 100-year-old Porsche in Night City Wire Episode 4. But that's apparently not the only belonging of Silverhand's that you'll be able to acquire in Cyberpunk 2077. Again, referring to the leaked trophy list, one of the trophies is called Breathtaking, a nod to Keanu Reeves' E3 appearance in 2019. To get the trophy, you'll have to collect all items that once belonged to Johnny Silverhand. I've read some people speculate that one of these items might be Silverhand's sunglasses, and I wonder if one might be his signature revolver, and whether these items will be things you can actually equip to your character in the game.
I think so. I really think so. And it kind of says, oh, it has his revolver or his sunglasses that you can't put them on or equip them. It's kind of strange. So, if you think about how good this gun is and what's on it in it, it would be strange if they didn't let you keep that. I think.
That would be
So,
pretty cool.
I really think so.
One of the encounters we saw in the 2018 gameplay demo was with a boss, a Maelstrom leader named Royce. When you fight him, he's decked out in this massive exoskeleton, but when you first meet him earlier in the same mission, he's significantly less imposing. Now, in this playthrough, Royce escaped the early scene, and that leads to the latter boss encounter. But several content creators who played the demo actually shot and killed Royce when they first met him. As put by yet another GameSpot preview, the consequence of this was that, unlike the E3 demos, he never reappeared armed with a powerful exoskeleton later on. Instead, the bay leading to the exit was manned by a few random soldiers. We also know from the earlier Cyberpunk gameplay showcases that this boss here can either be killed or spared once you incapacitate them. And this begs the question, will you be able to kill or spare any boss in the game? Given that CDPR has said officially that the game will allow for entirely non-lethal playthroughs, I'd say the answer is likely yes.
What do you get out of it? If you spare them, then what do you get out of it? Do you help you in a kind of lesson? Do they have a maybe they have a lesson for you in the future? But I'm wondering what will happen when you spare somebody. Finally.
If you've paid close attention to Cyberpunk 2077 over the years, you might remember that the initial gameplay reveal showcased 3 class archetypes, which you could grow into depending on your playstyle as the game progresses. The solo class, which focused on combat, the Netrunner class, which focused on hacking networks, and the Techie class, which allowed the player to manipulate access panels and use the game's spider bot to do your hacking for you. However, according to Toast, the Techie class no longer exists. Rather, it's been folded into the Netrunner class. Here's how he explained the change. Quote, "The Netrunner class, using his cyber deck, they can hack, and the Techie was able to use the spider bot to manipulate devices from a distance, which is pretty much the same thing the Netrunner now does and also did back then. manipulate devices from a distance. And as we were
That's
playing
kinda
it, we
cool.
realized that this is actually really samey, and there's not really a big difference between these archetypes. And with that, there's not a
true.
lot of incentive or fun to pick one over the other. Toast went on to explain how this led the team to essentially fold the techie class into the Netrunner. Quote, "So we cut our losses and decided to take this ability of manipulating devices from a distance and put it into the netrunning role. And then suddenly it became much more accessible. As a netrunner, you can now hack devices. You see a device on a level,
Nice
you know
opener.
you can manipulate it in one or many ways."
Location.
So basically, all the hacking abilities,
Awesome,
whether
got it,
it's
got
done
it.
up close or from a distance, and whether you're hacking an access panel or a network, it all now falls within the Netrunner class. However, one potential downside to this is that it left the team with the difficult choice of what to do with the Spiderbot. Toast explained that it's still part of the game,
right?
but its role has been pared down. Your robot companion is now reserved for more specific missions, and it no longer acts as a full-time sidekick.
Yeah. It looked kind of fun to have something also. I can't understand why you understand.
So we all know that you'll be able
have
to
some
customize your genitals in Cyberpunk. According to
Yeah, I know
reports from
that.
people who've actually played the game, when it comes to size and shape, dudes will have 3 basic options, while women, it sounds like, will have just 1. But wait, there's more. You'll also be able to trim the hedges into customizable shapes like a lightning bolt or a heart. And from what I've read, you'll apparently be able to dye your below-the-belt hair different colors as well. But even more than that, it sounds like Cyberpunk will actually have CYBERJUNK. In an interview with TheGamer.com, Cyberpunk 2077 quest director Mateusz Tomaszkiewicz, forgive me if I mispronounce that, was asked, "Are there any sex-based augmentations and stims?" To which he replied, "Yes, there are 2 that I think were even present in the old Cyberpunk 2020, referring to the tabletop game." He went on to say that, "I'm not 100% sure that that's the case, but they are called, I think, Mrs. Midnight is the version for women. It's like vagina replacement cyberware. Also, there are breasts and all that, and then I think the male counterpart is Mr. Stud, I think, which is also a genital replacement." Now, there's all...
I don't know why they have put that in this game. I can understand and kind of very because the Daniel are really American character, really how you like it, so yeah, I can understand. But how can you say this? What is the gangster? What is the gangster of to customize in his way your junk? So what is the gangster of it? You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know.
Also an
If not that it feel dick sometime, and I wrong.
which is also a genital replacement. Now, there's also an interview with lead quest designer Powell Sasko, which is posted directly to the official Cyberpunk 2077 YouTube channel, where he jokingly mentions that Mr. Stud is one of his favorite pieces of cyberware in the game. However, he also mentions that this upgrade is more story-related as opposed to something that affects actual gameplay, which probably goes without saying.
Okay. I'm going to play some girls first.
Now, we've known for a while that the map in Cyberpunk 2077 probably won't surpass The Witcher 3 in terms of square mileage. But Toast said something in that same community podcast that makes it sound like Cyberpunk might actually have The Witcher 3 beat by a significant margin when it comes to the volume of content players can actually experience. Here's what he said. "In The Witcher 3, I pretty much knew every single side quest and open world location. I still know them. But with Cyberpunk," he went on to say, "this is absolutely not possible anymore. For example, when it comes to the open world, there's a shit ton of content that I will be able to sort of experience fresh. I don't know."
I think this is going to be one of the season games. I waiting for this game. Sorry, in 2019 I heard of this game. And I wasn't quite sure if I was going to lie is that now I'm so in love with this game. It's going to be so much fun.
I don't know about you, but to me that makes Cyberpunk sound quite a bit bigger than The Witcher 3, at least in terms of the sheer amount of content.
A lot.
To my knowledge, no images of the actual world map in Cyberpunk have yet been revealed. But one final thing that Toast revealed in his interview on the Cyberpunk Community Podcast was that the map has been built in full 3D. Here's exactly what he said. Quote, when you actually open the world map, I don't know if we've shown this, but it's three-dimensional, so you can actually look at it from the side. So it's not just a flat top-down map. Toast later said that you can actually move the map around in 3D. Quote, you can spin the map around and look at it from different directions. However, Toast did say that you won't be able to zoom in on individual locations, but he explained the map will allow the player to get a sense of the verticality of the city.
Okay. I was wondering what the name like that. I was get confused.
Based on both old and new gameplay footage, we know that V will have 5 character attributes, and based on recent hands-on previews, it sounds like there will be 12 related skills within those attributes. Examples include a melee skill within your body attribute, a sniper rifle skill within your cool attribute, and a hacking skill within your intelligence attribute.
Okay.
But what we recently got to see, and only for a brief moment in the most recent gameplay trailer, was the updated skill perk system. Perks, if you didn't know, are the stat and ability boosts that you can unlock as you gain experience within the game. Apparently, each skill will have up to 20 different perks, and there might be even more than that. A Polygon article published in June of this year said each skill will have between 20 and 30 perks. Examples of perks include boosting your armor by 15% while moving, reducing the stamina cost of certain attacks, or increasing your movement speed while sneaking. In any case, based on Polygon's report and the most recent gameplay trailer, it's a safe bet the game will have well over 200 perks that you can use to customize V to your liking.
This game is going to be nuts.
Given that Cyberpunk takes place in a coastal town, there is of course water in the game. So a natural question is, can you swim? Apparently the answer is yes, but Toast, in that same podcast, made it clear that players shouldn't expect much underwater
I like his name, Toast.
He said, Cyberpunk is not a water exploration game, right? So we basically have it there because Night City is located at a coast, and not having water would be a bit unbelievable. True. And we have swimming mostly because we want to give you the freedom to explore. Just jumping into the water and fading in and out, or just dropping you back onto where you last left off, felt a bit weird. So yeah, you can swim and dive. He went on to say that there is some content.
It doesn't feel realistic. And that's they wanna put you in the game as sea. And if that would happen, that is going back, that wouldn't feel really realistic, to be honest.
But it's not where we focus our content. Absolutely not. In other words, don't expect to spend much time underwater.
I totally get it. The end.
Okay, so the last thing on this list is something you probably do know, but I wanted to include it anyway because it's super cool. Basically, in Cyberpunk, you can block bullets. But one thing you might not know is how exactly is this made possible? After all, no katana and not even cyberware would let someone block bullets, right? Well, maybe your katana does actually have something to do with it. In this 2018 article posted to VGR, it was reported that your katana may have some sort of magnetic field. That would definitely do the trick. However you pull it off, I think this sounds pretty awesome, and while it's going to be hard to resist all the guns in this world, being a katana-wielding cyber ninja sounds pretty awesome. Thankfully, we've only got a few weeks to go, God willing, before we all get to play Cyberpunk 2077 for ourselves.
Damn, this game is so amazing. I can't wait longer, and it's finally here. Oh! Really, I'm excited. I can't wait. Oh, I really want to thank you guys. Esther's still here at the end of the video. I want to thank you for watching. If you like this video and you want to see more Cyberpunk videos, I'm going to play longer content. I'm going to play a lot of Cyberpunk. If you want to see that, don't forget to subscribe. And also, if you want to help me to grow to 1000 subscribers before April, share this video with your friends and subscribe yourself to this channel if you like my videos. And I see all you beautiful people in the next video. Later.